What's happening, Wisdom Warriors? Back at it for another video. How's everybody doing for this wonderful Sunday? Um, this is going to be number 2. This is our second essential Sunday sermon. And, well, I can tell you right now, because, I'm always authentic and transparent as I'm recording on this new camera. The memory card just said could not be found, or try another one, or reinsert it. And let me tell you guys, I was so in flow, man. Now we're gonna start all over again. How interesting that is and how that happened, but I kind of was going in a little direction of like how we kind of essentially wear so many different hats and so many different masks, so to speak, of identities that we show up in the world, whether it be an identity for our job or our career, or an identity for a friend or multiple friends. Like, oh, I show up with this friend this certain way, and I show up with this friend this way, and then I show up this way with my romantic partner, or this way with my family and friends. And you're essentially like trying to uphold all these different identities with different individuals of what you like and what you don't like. And then if you're in the dating scene, you're trying to hold up an identity to every partner that you date. And I feel like the month of March and the year of 2023 is the crumbling and dissolving of the small self, of the person that you thought you had to show up to be. And what we don't realize is we're doing it out of acceptance and love, to be accepted in that clique or that group of individuals, to be liked, to be to receive love from that external partner or friendship or family member, to essentially validate ourselves for what we maybe can't give to ourselves. And I remember doing it as a young kid, as a wee lad. I remember, as I was talking about in the previous recording until it ended, when I was a kid and I was sent off to sleepaway camp, I was upholding a certain type of identity to the different kids in the camp, as it was very difficult to fit in, especially being sent off to a sleepaway camp and you're there for a few months and you try to develop relationships, and you have to either show up in some way, and if you don't, you'll be isolated or exiled, or maybe the kid that's sitting at the lunch table by yourself. And then so we fake who we really truly are so that we don't sit alone at the lunch table. And I found myself doing that many times, but then I never really, for the most part, faked who I was. And what did that do? I was the one sitting alone at the lunch table. I was the one hiding in the library from the bullies. I was the one who maybe had one or two friends. Because I needed to essentially either pretend who I was or show up who I really was. And does it mean that you're going to meet individuals that accept all of that version of you, or are you going to just have to fake it? And it all leads back to the acceptance and the love from the external, and how you show up and how you don't show up, and what you portray to be, or what you talk about or what you don't talk about. I kind of feel like at this point, when I speak, and when I speak on here, and when I speak in general, whether it be through an email or through a chat conversation, that everything that I speak about is what I truly feel within. And if I don't, then what is the sense of that relationship? Right? Because at the end of the day, it's about energy, and it's about frequency, and it's about vibration, and it's about I feel like this year and going forward this year, that there isn't that opportunity to fake it till you make it anymore. And we don't have the opportunity to do that anymore. We could get away with it in 1990. We could get away with it in 2005. That was kind of the theme. Fake it till you make it. That was what we did. We did it going to a job interview. We did it on a date. We did it with friends, and we did it with family. And because of the fear of them not liking me, or them not including me, or essentially just not wanting to spend time with you, right? And so we made up things. We made up what we like to eat. We made up what we like to do. Some people, and some of us, and I even found myself doing it. To be honest with you, let's be honest, like I always am on here. And I remember dating. I'm getting called to remember about 2015, and I remember even prior to that, I remember having conversations through text or through messaging apps. And I remember us having conversations, and what I would do, oh yeah, I remember that song. I love that song. And then right away, as we're having that chat, I would Google that song and then listen to it. Right? Or real quick, if they brought something up, I would Google the person's name or Google the topic, so that I pretended to know what that was. And then if I liked it, I would then respond, yeah, I love that. I've been listening to that for a long time, or I've been doing research on that for a long time. You know? And I remember doing that in many different relationships when they were pre-stage, when you were in the beginning stages, you know? And then you have to uphold that identity. Then you find yourself upholding that, like having to uphold that identity. And then you end up finding yourself in a tug of war internally. And I found that in multiple therapy times when I was in therapy in 2017, and I was going to groups. I found myself in an internal battle. I felt like I kept on describing it as somebody like playing tug of war internally. It felt like this tug and pull inside. And I remember feeling like that numerous times in my life. Like it was a tug of war internally. And you're having this internal battle of how you show up and how you don't, and what you look like, and externally, and what you're wearing. Oh, I've got to wear this specific type of clothing. I've got to make sure I smell good and I look good. because of fear of rejection and fear of judgment, and like what for? If they accept you, they accept you. If they don't, they don't. But in actuality, at the end of the day, it's more or less you judging yourself more than they're actually judging you. Everything's a mirror. The universe just mirrors us so that we can learn and gain something out of it. Gain something. Gain some kind of introspect or reflection. Reflection to me is like the biggest and most amazing opportunity we have. And these opportunities of darkness coming to light are the biggest gifts, because they gift us the opportunity to heal something that maybe has been stored in the body for many, many years. And I can tell you right now, like for me, everything was in the gut. Hence why I experienced mold and Lyme, and mold is essentially in the gut. And a lot of us store a lot of our emotions in the stomach, in the gut. And then we have stomach issues, or our stomach hurts, or, digestive issues. That's a common theme with a lot of humanity. Digestive issues. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not claiming to be a doctor, and I'm not portraying as one. I'm just telling you that from experience, this is something that a lot of us experience, because a lot of us store it in our stomach, emotions. And I remember having so many different physical ailments that it would essentially turn into, whether my ribs popped out, or massive anxiety or panic attacks, or skin issues, or I remember for the longest time I had like a twitching of the eye, where my eye would like twitch, and it would just go like that. I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but I'm sure you can, when you expand the video full screen, but it would just go like this. And I didn't know why. Eventually it went away, but that was just stored emotions built up that was wanting to be released. A lot of it typically is. Yes, it can be a health related, but don't forget and don't negate emotions showing up as a physical thing. Physical pain in your back, physical pain in running down your leg, your stomach, headaches, all kinds of things like that come out from emotions that you're pushing down or stored in the body. And us as men have been taught to suppress the emotions and not feel, and that you will get sick if you cry, and it's not healthy to cry, and somebody comes over and consoles you while you're crying, when it's the most invigorating thing to have that release. It's like a fresh start. Usually, for the most part, after you get done, it usually feels good, and but we've been essentially conditioned to believe it's wrong and it's not good and it's not healthy, especially men. And I'm here to break that cycle. I'm here to end that, especially in my life. That it's okay. It's okay to feel everything. It's okay to feel those emotions, whether they're sadness, anger, joy, happiness. We tend to only want to feel the joy and the happiness and the pleasure and types of emotions, but who's to say that anger can't be enjoyable? Like if you went to one of those facilities and got a sledgehammer and just start bashing things, that has to be the most invigorating release, you know, if used in a healthy way, you know, and but we've been chasing not only acceptance and love and trying to fill those voids with acceptance and love through changing our identity and changing who we are to gain that acceptance or love from that clique or that friend group or that friend that you feel like things are falling apart and you guys are becoming distant. We then change ourselves to manipulate the situation to then be accepted. And I'm kind of here to say, let's stop all that crap. It's time we show up as ourselves and as who we are. And whether you're liked or not, it will be somebody or multiple people that will like who you are, genuinely like who you are, and genuinely want to be around you. You just maybe haven't given yourself the chance or the opportunity, or you're not holding enough compassion and love for yourself, you know, to have that opportunity to meet those individuals that want to show you love for who you are fully, and for you to be fully authentic and transparent and vulnerable. As I said, man, 2023 is shaping to be one of the most miraculous years we have ever had on this planet, because we're being given the opportunity to release and to shed so much, so fast, and so rapid, more than we've ever had the opportunity to do, and so easy, in such an easy way, versus actually having to face it in the external. You know, and we're being given that opportunity at a rapid pace. You see, I always thought that life was about achieving more and more and more and more in the external, right? And more as time goes on, and as I grow in age, as I evolve, as I go higher in frequency and vibration, I start to realize that those things don't really give me the joy and happiness that they used to. I think I spoke about it on a previous video about a pair of shoes. I was an avid shoe buyer, and I loved the running track shoes like the Nike Air Maxes that essentially cost you over $100 a pair. And I remember, you know, going to the mall, seeing the new pair. Then I would go to the outlet and I'd pick up that pair. And then after I got those and I wore them for a little while, I then saw the new ones, and then the new ones. And I always was ready for the new pair. New smartphone came out, I had to get it. New laptop came out, I had to get it. New camera, I had to get it. And it was always like this rush in the beginning, this dopamine hit in the beginning, this rush of like, oh my God, this is so awesome, I just got it. And then give it like a week or two and it wears off. I even think sooner than that. And now, like for example, when I bought this camera, yes, it was exciting because I got a good deal on it. Other than that, I didn't get that dopamine hit or that dopamine rush like I would in the past from it. And it doesn't give me that excitement as it did. It just doesn't. And I'm finding out more and more that I'm all the change that I'm doing internally, and all the internal healing that I'm doing is bringing me to a place of where my external is healing. My external is changing. I'm going through these containers that I so speak about with you guys so many times. And I filled my trunk up with all the papers from, man, I found papers because of the business, like folders filled with invoices, and they were like from 2005, containers filled with it. So what am I going to do? They're going to go to the shredder, and I'm going to drop them off, and I'm going to shred every last one of them, and my whole trunk is filled, and then on to the next, and just clearing more and more. And I feel like that wasn't able to happen prior because I needed to do the healing within before the external reflected that. And now it's actually starting to it's not starting, it's reflecting my internal. And the work we do inward, it's funny, it's interesting, because I just thought of a quote that somebody said on one of the video I actually posted earlier, the short. And I appreciate you, man, for commenting, and I've heard this quote many times, but they took it upon themselves to comment it below the short that I posted about today's sermon. And they said, "So within, so without." And that is so perfect and a masterpiece of what to finish off this video that I'm talking about today, about Sunday sermon. That when is enough enough? Does those pair of shoes bring you really true happiness? Can you really, really say deep down inside that they give you true happiness? That you can sit there and look at them and say they give me such happiness and joy? Like, can you actually do that? Because I can't. It's fleeting. And it just doesn't. It's kind of like a mundane or flatlining to an extent, because that's what it feels like to me now. Like a flat line, and like it's like, okay, I need this to shoot good quality video for my YouTube channel, and that's about it. It doesn't excite me like I would have thought it would. It doesn't give me that dopamine hit I used to feel, that rush. You find that these things in the external, it's a lot of times it's just to fill a void. A lot of times it's just to replace something of maybe suffering, of maybe essentially like a numb out. Like numbing out, like getting on a streaming service and just numbing. But ask yourself, man, and comment below, man. I would love to hear your comments and your feedback on this sermon today, and how you feel about material things, and how you feel. Have you been in your life changing your identity to fit in or to be in a relationship? Because I know I have. Am I going to do that anymore? Hell no. Am I going to show up my authentic self, my true self, my vulnerable self with an open heart? 100%. Am I going to speak my truth no matter what cost it is? 100%. It's not worth it, because what ends up happening is you then have to go in isolation or by yourself and suffer in the dark, or suffer by yourself, because now the way you showed up is not really in alignment with yourself and your soul. So you end up having to do all this healing within by yourself in your own time, when you could have avoided that by showing up authentically and with your true identity of what you mind you, I couldn't do that for most of my life because I didn't know who I was. I didn't have self-worth. I didn't have self-esteem. I didn't know who I was as a man. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I didn't want. I was just being thrown around by my emotions and by other individuals because just to fit in. I changed just to fit in. I ate that food because I fit in, to fit in. I had a friend that loved this guy that I worked at a job with back in 2000 something, the early 2000s. And I remember going out with him, and I remember going to a restaurant with him. He was into real hot, spicy stuff. And I remember sitting at the restaurant with him, just me and him. And I remember us getting chicken wings, and he got them, the super hot ones. I'm talking about like they were like orange. Okay? And I remember eating these damn things. I hated hot food, man. And I remember eating these damn things, and my freaking face was turning red. My mouth was on fire. My eyes were tearing up like I was crying. I had to sit there and take tissues and keep wiping my eyes. It was like a waterfall. And yet I did it because he liked it. So I could fit in and we could get the same thing and we could share like a huge basket of chicken wings. And I did it just because he that's what he liked. And at the time, I didn't know what I liked and what I didn't like. It took me a lot of time by myself, a lot of time in nature, multiple tower moments, rock bottoms, dark night of the souls. I spoke to you guys about a little bit of this stuff on previous videos, and it took me a lot of soul searching to realize who I am and what I want and what I don't want. And at the end of the day, like, what lights you up? What makes you happy? Because that is what's most important. All the other stuff is bullshit. It's just a facade. It's just you pretending to be an identity that you're not. And in the end, it bites you in the ass. Because those relationships start crumbling in the end. They start crumbling and they start falling apart because the real you has to eventually come out. You eventually have to show up as the real you because the universe will force it upon you. And I've spoken about the 2x4 to the back of the head. It's inevitable. We're not, in 2023, we don't have the ability anymore to fake it till you make it. We don't have the identity, we don't have the, we're not able to show up in 10 different identities and 10 different ways to 10 different people. We just can't do it anymore. It just doesn't work. And it won't work. And you will be seen. It will happen that the true you comes out. And those things will fall apart regardless. If you're not being authentic and true to yourself and true to the other people. So just be you, man. Be as authentic and transparent and vulnerable as you can be. Show up with your heart open wide. And just love, man. Just love yourself. Love one another. We're all one. I love you all so much. Just like this pillow behind me. Love it, man. Love it. Life becomes magical. Life becomes synchronistic. When you don't do things out of trying to be accepted or loved by others, when you do it out of authenticity and transparency and vulnerability, you become loved regardless by yourself and by others. I hope this video helps. I hope you got something out of today's Sunday sermon. We will do this every Sunday. I love this new fresh, fresh energy coming with this new series that we're going to do weekly. I hope you get something out of it. I hope you got something out of it. If you could please like, subscribe, comment, share, I would appreciate it. And I'd appreciate what your feelings are and what you've been doing and how you've been showing up. And if now